Welcome to Meeting of the Moms, a place to talk about all the things. I'm Lorna Adams. I'm a wife, mom, and certified life coach. I think being with people makes anything a party. Thanks for coming to ours. I'm here with my good friend Amy. For years, we've spent the early morning hours running and talking together before diving into our days.
Hey, I'm Amy Rasmussen. I'm a teacher by profession, a wife and mother by choice, an optimist by nature, and happy by design. Here at Moms, we believe the world is wide open to all of us and that we have unlimited potential. We're so glad you're here.
Just a heads up, we talk about some spoilers in regards to Elf on the Shelf, so push pause if you are listening with little ones around. This was recorded in 2023 during the Christmas season.
Something that's been on my mind because it's holiday season is Elf on the Shelf. And this morning I thought, I want to talk to Lorna about this. So that's what we're going to do today. My elf is here visiting right here. But I have found that Elf on the Shelf is one of those topics that can really start like conflict with moms. You've got different camps. So if you're listening today, maybe just think about what camp are you in? Are you like, oh my gosh, I hate Elf on the Shelf. Can we not talk about this? Or are you in the camp of I love Elf on the Shelf? Or are you in the camp of like, I wish I never started Elf on the Shelf? So let's start with you. Where are you on that? I'm sure there's lots of things in that spectrum. So where are you for Elf on the Shelf?
So I'm kind of in the middle camp, but my kids are a little bit older now. I now have, my youngest is 14, but I wanted to show you, my 16-year-old really wanted Elf on the Shelf to be present this year. So she is doing it. My 16-year-old is doing it.
Hey.
And this is what she did last night.
Cute.
She did have marshmallow all over the elf. And she did tell me that she was feeling really guilty. This is a spoiler. I should have warned before I started talking. Here's a little bit of a spoiler. So if you have kids, do not let them listen for a moment.
Right. This is like adults only. No, I don't know. Okay.
So she has taken upon herself to do the elf at our house this year. And so she is just doing fun things. And that was one of them, wanting to use marshmallows to make it look like he's doing a bubble bath. And she did put marshmallow pieces on his face and did one other thing that I was going to share. It just has been fun to watch her creativity on how she's handling this Elf on the Shelf. So for her, it's super fun. And there was a point in time where it was fun for me. And I feel like it's almost throughout the season. I can be in the camp where it's really fun and exciting. And then as the nights, as it gets closer to Christmas and I'm trying to be more and more creative, and sometimes I'm forgetting, then it has gotten to be where it's hard. And why did we start this, right? Yeah. My husband has been really good as we were doing it when our kids were younger. There were nights definitely that I was like, honey, you've got to take it. I'm too tired. Like, will you move them in the morning or whatever? Anyway, there were times where we did share the responsibility, but I've been in a little bit of both places. And right now it's just super fun. My daughter's doing it and I get to go out and see where she's put it. What about you, Amy?
Yeah, which I love, right? So, I mean, the fact that sometimes we do things to give, it's like a gift to our children. And then it can actually bring some of the magic back for us as our kids are older. So I think that's really fun. So my youngest is 10. I haven't really been super like, you have to believe in all these things. That's just never been me. So I really don't know where he stands, but when he talks about things, it's like he still believes. So I don't know. But my older kids haven't for a long time. And they just knew that this is a super fun game of pretend that everyone can participate in, adults, kids, and that's what makes the magic, is that we can all have this thing together. So, I mean, we're kind of in similar states. Neither one of us has all the little children, right? But for me, when I started it, I thought, this would be fun. Like I could have fun with it. But I was a little unsure of the whole, like this elf is watching you about whether or not you're going to be good. So I just invented my own way of doing it. And I don't know if you remember, but the very first year I wanted to try it, you were not doing it, and I borrowed your elf.
Yes, that does sound familiar.
Give it a whirl, and I did it, and then I decided that we would get one, but I involved my kids in that, and I was like, okay, so this was like the elf, and then that elf wrote them a letter and was like, hey, I have been promoted to such and such, so you need to choose a new elf, and then they got to choose, and I had pictures there and a little bio and whatever. So it kind of just fed my creative need. But that was pre-Christmas. That was a different time of the year. That was not Christmas time when they chose the new thing. So that made it easier. But the thing that I decided to do is I decided that the elf we got was going to be a service elf. And the elf would come and would give ideas for service. And so the elf would do silly things, not naughty things, though, which I think is sometimes the fun of whatever. But the elf would do silly things and then would give ideas for, today you get to go and do this kind of service. And for me, that felt a little bit better than having an elf who was watching them. And last year, my two older boys did help move the elf. And just a few years ago, I also just ixnayed the whole don't touch me or there's no magic. Because for little kids, we got a plush one. And so they want to snuggle the elf. They want to be with the elf. They want to like sneak the elf into their backpack and carry her to school or whatever. And so I'm like, why not? That's fine. So I can't remember how I made that transition, but.
Sorry, can I just jump in? That was what Addie was worried about. And she had said just this time, like a couple days ago, as she's been doing the elf, she did say, I almost feel guilty touching the elf. Because this was like a hands-off elf, right? So it's funny that even though she's the one in charge of it, she is also still having some of that reminiscent feeling of this is wrong, this is bad. I love that you did switch it over to make it be a fun thing.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't remember how I did it. But as I was looking at our elf today, and just thinking about the different feelings, I remember a post on Facebook that I saw one time from a mom in our area, and she just said, what is this elf thing that everybody does and all the classrooms do? Like, now my kids are coming home and they're being like, well, why don't we have an elf in our house? And all the frustration. And I just got to thinking, like, I think we generally have this feeling that we want each mom to be able to do what's bringing joy and magic into their home at the holidays. But we also sometimes have those feelings of like, why are you raising the bar? It somehow feels that way. And that's when comparison comes in. And so I got to thinking that maybe this is an idea someone would want to try. Someone who doesn't want to do elf on the shelf. They already know themselves. They're like, nope, that's not for me. One idea is to just share with your kids, like, guess what? You actually have to make a special request to have an elf at your house. And, your dad and I have decided that we are not going to have an elf on our house because instead we're doing these things, right? And just kind of point out the fun. And then you can be like, but it is so fun to hear about where your classroom elf is, or it's fun to hear about where your friend elves are, and just maybe get into the excitement of how other people are doing it. And I guess that comes to mind because I'm the parent who won't let my kids get a dog, right? And every time they ask me, I'm like, we're not getting a dog, you guys. The best kind of dog is your friend's dog. Go hang out with that dog. So I can be excited, like, oh, that is a super cute dog. I'm so glad you had fun with the dog. But it changes, and I can just be happy that someone else chose to have a dog. So thoughts on that?
Because then it takes away the pressure and the guilt, right? Like you don't have to, nobody has to be a mom that has an elf on the shelf at their house. You don't have to.
This is not a requirement.
Totally. If you want to, and it seems fun and you think your kids would enjoy it, then totally, right? But if not, that's okay. You can absolutely say no, thank you. And then I love how your example about the dog. I think that's perfect. Because I think we make it mean we're a bad mom if we don't have the elf on the shelf, even though we really don't want it. Yeah. Actually, it makes Christmas kind of miserable if every night you're trying to figure out something, somewhere to put the elf or something that they're doing. And it just doesn't add to the fun and joy that Christmas really is about for the most part, right? Or what it could be about.
Yeah. And I know that there's all sorts of reasons to have the elf, whatever. But if kind of the idea of when someone started it was, oh, this is fun, and then it's not fun anymore, there's also lots of exit strategies.
Yes.
One, be like, I need a low-key elf this year. I don't want to totally give it up, but I need a low-key elf. So can the elf show up with a note that says, hey, I'm kind of sick this year, and so I'm probably going to hang out in similar locations all the time. So every so often I'll move, but then I'll probably stay there for a few days, right? Like just own it. If you're wanting to keep the tradition, right? But you know that this is not the year for you, that's one way to do it. And if you're ready to just be done, it's also okay to have the elf write a letter. Now, you could just be done, right? But if you're like, I am stealing my children's magic or whatever, the elf could write a letter and could just say, I am retiring and I have so much loved being your elf, whatever, this is super fun. And then you can maybe even replace it with something that is just a reminder of like all the magic of what Christmas is really about, right? So what the elf is leaving you with is like, encourage you to go out and to do good, because even though I'm retired, every so often I might just come and see you because I love you, and you won't see me, or whatever, right? Like I think there's ways to do it if you're wanting to keep the magic.
Yeah, totally. I love that you used your elf as a service elf. Like, I think that can be so great to realize you can do it all sorts of ways. Yeah, you can do the naughty elf, you can do the fun, you can do the crazy, and you can do a service, right? And there's still limitless options as well. I think even that's fun. And maybe like an Advent type elf where you're talking about the service. It made me think about an Advent where that could be something that you're using as your Advent counting down to Christmas, whatever that may look like. Like you're sharing, the 13th day of Christmas, we're going to, like, I guess it's in conjunction with the service, right? We're going to go drop off our 12 days of Christmas to somebody tonight.
Oh, right.
Or, I mean, right, it could be all sorts of things, but it could kind of be used as an Advent as well.
Yeah. And I've seen the things out there, if you want to focus more just religiously and Christ-centered, where you have Joseph and Mary, and they move throughout the house until they finally eventually get to the manger.
Cute.
So that's kind of a fun thing too. And I don't think that either having an elf or having Joseph and Mary move or whatever is necessarily going to make or break whatever's going on for the holiday season, right? But I think part of what's fun about the holidays is just having that little bit of spark and play pretend, right? It's the play pretend for the Santa part. And then for the part that Christmas is really about, which is the birth of our Savior, Jesus Christ, there is something about the light of Christ that just enters into people's hearts at the Christmas season. And I feel like it's there for people who believe and people who do not. For people who are atheists but still celebrate Christmas or whatever, there seems to still be this choice as a society, at least in the United States, to be a little kinder and to look for service opportunities. And I think it's okay to celebrate that too.
Totally.
So.
That has been one of my favorite parts about Christmas is that it is kind of a way that the world is united. And I'm not saying 100% of people celebrate Christmas, but it does seem like throughout the world, many people are celebrating Christmas in whatever way they do it. Just like you're saying, religious or not, but it just is a way that we're kind of unified a little bit more as a world. And I do love that idea. Another thought that came up was about letting the guilt go. Like you can still be a great mom and not have an elf.
Yep.
You can be a great mom and have a lazy elf that doesn't move very often. Like what Elf on the Shelf does or doesn't do does not define what kind of a mom you are.
Right. And it's all just a choice, right? And it's also okay if you chose to not do it and then you decide, I do want to do it. And my kids are older. Fine. Do it like Lorna's kids are doing it. And last year, I think my older boys had fun helping to move it. And I kind of had fun finding it, right?
Yeah.
So be willing to make a change as needed, be willing to say, no, that's not for me, without judgment of yourself or other people, because that's the other part, is it's not like, oh, all those idiot moms out there is making it so hard for me to like make my own child's life happy. Well, that's not the case either, right? We can do things differently in our different homes and still find happiness. My neighbor, this isn't Elf on the Shelf, but my neighbor decided on a homemade Christmas this year. And it's been really fun for like ornaments and everything. Like they strung popcorn and she has such like, this is a lot of work. Plus the homemade Christmas turned into like mom needs to help with every project. So, I mean, she's learning too, but it's also been rewarding because of how much time they've ended up spending together to make Christmas, right? They're like making Christmas. And I don't know that she'll do it every year. And I had a thought like, oh, I love that idea, but not this year because whenever I found out about it, right? Like I'd want to tell people in January 1, this year is a make it Christmas start now. I just love that she made her own thing, right?
Yeah.
She created, and for her family for this year, she's like, this feels like the right fit.
Totally. And I love that, right? Because like you're saying, this isn't the right fit for you this year, but maybe you'll want to do it another year. And you totally could, right? It doesn't have to be the same every year with how you do it. Very
and
good.
those ideas is like a way to just be inspired. And if there's something that's like, oh, that does sound fun, I can let that roll around in my mind a little bit. It doesn't have to be, like you said, you don't have to then start judging yourself and being like, oh, but I didn't do it. I had that idea and I didn't do it. Yep. Do you know how many ideas I have that I never do? A lot.
Yeah. And it's okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Yep.
So good.
I do some of my ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So good.
Do you have any other thoughts about Elf on the Shelf or Christmas in general?
Well, I do have a couple other things. Typically, I've been a mom that likes to have my tree beautiful. I want the ribbon. I have bought some nice, I don't know if they're actually glass, but a little more delicate ornaments. And there have been a few years where I was pretty adamant about my tree looking the perfect way. And then there have been some years where I haven't been. And when we had two trees, I felt like that was an easy. I could easily say, this is the tree how I want it to be. This is my tree-ish. And this is the kids' tree. You can do all your ornaments that you've made and whatever. And this year, as we were putting up the tree and starting to decorate it, my kids were like, let's do all of our homemade ornaments. Let's do the ones that we brought home from school. And honestly, none of those beautiful ornaments are on our tree this year. And to me, it actually looks extra beautiful. Like it just is just like more of a touching tree about the cute little ornaments with their picture on it that they made in first and second grade, and some of their own little candy canes that they made out of pom-poms and cardboard. But it just is so sweet and special today. This year, it just feels so sweet and special. And I'm just grateful for that. Like, it's fine that I was picky and wanted it a certain way in the past, but today, like this season, this is what feels really awesome to me.
And I think it's okay to change, right? The ebb and flow, and like at different seasons. I think we've talked before about the grandma who said, like, I remember all like being frustrated, everything was sticky, and now I don't want to wash the window after my grandkids leave because their little handprint is there, right? Yes, so I think our different seasons provide us with those different things, and we find out like what we want and what we need. And who knows, maybe as young moms, part of it is just like, I just need something like orderly and beautiful in my life, because so much is caring for others who have snotty noses and poopy diapers, right? Things decidedly not pretty and not orderly. And so there's another need there. Or we've just come into adulthood, and in adulthood, we're like, oh, I am learning now that I can do some things my way. Yeah. And sometimes we have to move through that to get to a point where we're like, oh, all right, I'm good with it. Yes, let's do the daughter's idea. I guess I would just end with this. I think find the thing, really just the thing, the one thing this year, I think for each of us, that's like, this will help me feel how I want to feel at Christmas. And this is what I'm going to do. Not forcing everyone else to do it, but for me, a lot of times that's just sitting by the tree. And so I'm trying to figure out, do I want to say to myself, I am sitting by the tree every single night by myself? But after kids go to bed or whatever, I'm going to at least take a few minutes to sit there. Or is it creating something? Or is it going to a nativity display? Or is it going to Elf, the musical? I don't know what it would be for each person. But sometimes if we can just make the one thing that's totally within our control and say that is something that is I'm going to do to help make this season what I want, I think we'll find more happiness in the season.
With this year and us decorating our tree a little more like the old ornaments, like the ornaments that my kids have made, it was another experience happened that just seemed so interesting and awesome timing. I was noticing our stockings needed to be replaced. And I've noticed that the past couple of years, like the inside lining of them are kind of pulling out. They're ones that I had embroidered with my kids' names on them. And this was back when I was wanting the tree to look really great. I had these nice stockings. Anyway, this year I was thinking again, like I probably need to get new stockings. And I thought, well, I'm not going to worry about it quite yet. Like maybe in another year or something. Anyway, a neighbor asked to come over and said, I have a gift for you that I want you to open before Christmas. If I wait until Christmas, then it'll be too late. And I said, okay. So she comes over and I open this package in front of her, and she has made she's crocheted 6 stockings, and they are all different colors, and they all totally connect. Like they're all just a little bit different with the same 3 colors of yarn. And it was so touching to me. And really, I think the reason why it was so touching is because we had already made the decision to have a little more homemade ornaments on our tree, that this just was another symbol of somebody giving their heart, just like those ornaments that my kids made me in grade school. It was just a sweet little memory of their love for me, and similar as this lady, our cute neighbor, her love for us. It was just so sweet. But it just was the perfect timing that she was thinking of us and spent hours working on these stockings. Hey. And then even my daughter, my 6-year-old daughter, is saying, Mom, that is so cool. And these are so cool. Anyway, it just has been so sweet. Just such a tender mercy that I'm just so grateful for.
Thanks for coming to Meeting of the Moms. We hope it made your load a little lighter. We'd love to hear what's on your mind. Send your celebrations, takeaways, and suggestions for future topics to momswithamyandlorna@gmail.com.
If you enjoyed the show, please like, share, and subscribe. If this isn't the right fit for you, we wish you well on your journey. Until next time, I'm Amy Rasmussen.
And I'm Lorna Adams. See you next week at Moms.